I'm Patrick Bailey with whiteboardcoder.com. Today is July 12th, 2017. And in this video, I'm going over how to install Mongo 3, version 3.4.5 on Ubuntu 16.04, and also do a little bit of cleanup and setup of the database. Okay, first, here is my Ubuntu machine. Kind of a fresh install here. I just want to show, there it is, 16.04. And you could probably install Mongo by default if you wanted, but I just want to show it's not the version I want, at least for 16.04. And if I do a sudo apt-cache Madison MongoDB, Madison, there we go. I can see right there, it's version 2.6.10. And that's not what I want. I want the newest version, which I think is 3.4.5. So I found some good notes here from Pritunl. I'm not sure how you do that. Now, they're trying to install their stuff and use MongoDB, so you can kind of take it with a grain of salt. So I kind of took some of their instructions. You need a subset of their instructions, but they work really well. Now, I put these in the show notes, my slightly different version of them, but I'll just kind of copy and paste them right now. So first of all, we need to update our repositories here, so you can copy and paste this first guy. Oh, wait, sorry, as I say that. The easiest way to do it is to switch user to root before I even start. Oh, sudo switch user root. Okay, and let me copy and paste that guy in there again. So that's that first line in there. So we'll get that one done. And the second one we don't need because that's a Pritunl server. We don't need that guy. And the next one we need is we do need this key. Need that key. I don't know if we need the next one. That one might be the Mongo one. The other one might not be. So let me just try. Just the first one there. So we add that key in. Okay, we import the key. And then we do... I don't know if we need the second key. We'll try it without it. I bet you that's a Pritunl one. So let's, I don't need to do sudo apt-get, assume yes, and update. So run an update, then do an upgrade, then do an apt-get, let's see, assume yes, and install MongoDB org. And let it go at it. Okay, so I don't need that second key. Yeah, that must be for the Pritunl stuff. Okay, so there it is installed. So let's go check the version of it. So we can do a MongoD -- version. And we can see that we have version 3.4.6. Let me exit root user. I think it shows a little prettier on my user. Oh, MongoD. Either one works, I guess. Okay, so version 3.4.6. So that's installed. So now let me go start it and start to check it out. Okay, now this should load as a systemd service. Let me see if I can see if it's running as a default. System control status and MongoD. And that'll tell us it is not running. It's loaded, it's ready to go, but not running. So now let's do a sudo system control start MongoD. So start it up, and we can go back to status and see that, yep, it is running. Oh. And now we can log into it with just Mongo. So that'll log into the database. And so now I've logged in, but as you can see, let me pull this out. Well, let me quit. So to get out of it, you can do quit like that. Let me go back in. There are a bunch of errors. So warning, using the XFS file system is strongly recommended. There's an access control and some issues with some kernels, which I'm going to tackle here in a bit to eliminate those warnings. But for now, you're in, and Mongo's working. Let's quit out of here. So next thing I want to do real quick is I want to set up Mongo to automatically start up via systemd when the system reboots. So to do that, I can do system control enable MongoD. Enable, not enable, enable MongoD. And so now it should be enabled. So if I reboot, it should automatically come up. So let me reboot real quick. Okay, let's see if I can. So do system control status Mongo. As it thinks. Okay, let me try again. System control status Mongo. There we go. And I can see it's been rebooted. It's running. I'm going to look at my uptime. It's just a minute there. So you can see that worked. We've enabled it, and it will survive a reboot. Okay, so now next, I want to go start to deal with all the warnings. Okay, the first issue. So if I go back into Mongo, let me extend this so I can capture the error well. We can see one of the first errors here is warning using the XFS file system is strongly recommended. And if here's a URL I went to that mentioned it, just to kind of again, basically they like the XFS versus the XT4. So I'm just going to appease it and do that. So here's what I did. So I've mounted another hard drive, which is probably a good idea to put your data in another hard drive anyway. But right now, if I go df-t, capital T, I can see the types. And so I can see here for my main drive right now it's ext4, and that's where the data is because I only have one drive. So I've added another drive, but I have not yet formatted it. So if I do an ls, let's see, dev sd star, I can see in my case that it is this dev sdb. It's been added, but it has not been partitioned or formatted or anything. So I'm going to partition it and format it in XFS format. So let me go do that. So sudo fdisk, let's see, dev sdb. And then in these commands, I always kind of write these down. Let's see, do in, and then p for primary 1, and then the default, and then w. Okay, so that should be good. So now that's been, not partitioned, what's the word? Yeah, partition's the right word, right? Well, now we want to format it. So now we do a sudo makefs.xfs -l, I'm going to give it a name, MongoDB, and dev sdb1. So run that. And now, let's see, let's format the drive. Here's the drive. Okay, so now, let's see. Partition the drive again. Yeah, that's wrong. Okay, I got bad notes here I'm looking at. Okay, so now that I have it, I should be, if I do df-t, I can see it's not mounted. So I can do I should be able to do a sudo mount, and since I named it, I think I can mount it, MongoDB. Because it's not an XFS tab. There's probably ways I could do it, but I'm not going to do that. Okay, let's go. I want to do this anyway, so let me go edit the XFS tab. No, sudo vi XFS tab. Okay, now we go to the bottom here and we append some stuff. And I recently had to update the last way I did this to this way, which seems to work pretty well. Because there's all kinds of little nuances on how you can mount these. And this is my latest one, based on some stuff. So this is going to mount that drive, SDB1. It's going to mount it at /MongoDB, and it's going to mount it as an XFS. And then here's some of the rules. It's going to mount it as no fail auto, no A-time, read write, and user. And this is the latest one I figured out because you don't want to do the default here. You want to be able, I think it's no fail and auto combination. I could be wrong. You want it to not tie up your system should that hard drive not be there. I've had issues before with that in the cloud where if you do this wrong and the hard drive's not there, which can happen because it's an extra hard drive, the machine won't start at all. You get in some really bad state and that's not fun. So in this case, if the drive is gone, your machine will still boot up because you have your main drive, you're fine. But if it is there, it will mount automatically. Okay, so we save that, and I could reboot and show it, but I should be able to also do sudo mount MongoDB, or sudo, no, it gives the name, sudo mount MongoDB. Oh, maybe not. Because the mount point doesn't exist, but I think it makes it when I reboot it. So I could make that mount point. Yeah, let me try. Let me just do a reboot. So reboot, even though normally I could, well, let me just do it. So let me make the directory. There we go. And then I should be able to do a sudo mount MongoDB. And because it's described in FS tab, now it should be mounted. So do that, and I can see, let me do HT. So now I can see there's my MongoDB, and it's mounted as a type X. It's formatted in XFS, and it's mounted at /MongoDB. So it is working. But let me do a reboot just to make sure it remounts just fine. Always want to test that. Always, whatever settings you have, reboot your machine. I've worked too many places where they've set everything up just so oddly, hoping the machine will never reboot. Well, your machine's going to reboot. And sometimes when they do, and you don't have it set up correctly, to set up itself correctly through a reboot, you're going to have a lot of issues. Okay, and there we go. It's mounted. Oh. You can see it already, but there we go. We're mounted XFS, and life is good. Okay, so now I need to actually move the database. So I need to do a, well, wait, the MongoDB is actually running. Well, let me just kill it. Sudo system control stop Mongo. Okay, so we stopped it. We should look at the status and make sure it stopped. Okay, so it is. Good. Okay, so now let's edit the configuration. So sudo vi etc mongodb.conf and give in here. Okay, so now we go down to storage. So there's the storage, varlib mongodb. And we want to move that, I'm going to move it to MongoDB and data. That's where I'm going to move it. And that should be all you need to do with this file. So save that. And then next, we want to actually go make that directory because it doesn't exist. MongoDB data. There we go, we've made it. And then we want to sudo copy. We want to copy the old database into that directory, which is at varlib, let's see, mongo. So copy all that and copy it to MongoDB data. All right, there we go. So we're copying all that over. And then we want to change the owner, because right now root owns it. Dash capital R, let's see, MongoDB. Right, MongoDB. MongoDB data. There we go. So now if I do MongoDB data, I should see it's all owned by MongoDB. Good. So now let me do a sudo system control. Well, don't have to restart. Start Mongo. There we go. And so now it should have started. And let's see if I can tell anything here. So it started. And it's using the Mongo conference. Yeah, so there. Yeah, looks good. And now that that's all working, so we should be the Mongo database should be running. The database should be in the XFS drive. So now if I run Mongo and log back in, I should see. Oh, let me quit so you can actually. Let me pull it out of here again so it's actually readable. Okay, so now you can see that warning has gone away. So we've got these other warnings that we'll start to work on, but the XFS warning is gone. So I got that one fixed. And it's also, by having an XFS drive, it's also good to probably put your data on a different drive anyway, from your main drive for a myriad of reasons. But anyway, let's go to the next step and start working on removing some of these kernel issues it's complaining about. Okay, on to the kernel issues. If you go to this page, you'll see that it describes some of these kernel issues in more detail, but basically they're just not, if you can turn these off, basically it'll help things out to go a little faster for MongoDB. And since this is going to be a MongoDB server, I'll just do what they suggest. So an easy way to do this is to install sysfs utilities. So sudo apt-get install sysfs utils. So install that package. Oh, should have done assume yes. Okay, so now what that should do is I should now have a file in etc sysfs.conf. And I can go to the end here and I can append a few things. Now in this case I want to append these. That's all I want to do. Append kernel transparent huge page enabled and huge page defrag equal to never on both of those. That's all I need to do. And so now I can just save that and do a reboot. And this should should remove that warning. Okay, so now if I log into MongoDB, I should only have one warning left. So log into Mongo, and there we go. I have an access control is not enabled for this database. So let's go dive into that and fix that next. Okay, the last warning we have is basically because we don't have roles set up. So right now, if I log into the Mongo database, I of course get that warning, access control is not enabled. But really what that means is right now, there's no users. So I can come in here and I can come into use admin, which is a way to switch databases. Also, if you do use, it'll actually create the database, so that's always a little confusing to me. So I can go in here and I can say show collections, and yeah, so there's no users. So you have to create a user. So here we can go log in, go use admin, and I go create a user. So I'll do a copy and paste here. So I'm going to create a super user that can kind of do anything. And if you need to know more about roles, you can go over here to, where do I go? Just click on something. There we go. You can go to this URL, and they go over a lot of different roles you can use. In fact, to do a super user, you have to put a bunch of roles in there, apparently. I'm still kind of new to Mongo database, so bear with me a little bit. So what I'll do here is I will put in this guy. Let me copy and paste it here. So there we go. So what I did is, this is what I put up to here. So not the dots. In fact, let me just open up to show exactly what I copied and pasted in here. Okay, that's what I copied and pasted here. Just a DB create user. The name of the user, which in this case would be myadmin. The password I made for it, just my password, and the roles I did. So here in this role, this actually needs several roles to be a super admin, and this is kind of what I read from somewhere. So the user admin, any database, read write any database, DB admin, and cluster admin. And that should kind of give you a super user role. So I put that in here. You can see it was successfully added, and so now that role is in there. So now, before I do anything, before I log back in, I'm also going to make a database. So I'm going to do, I still have permission to do anything right now, I believe. So I can say use test database, which will create the database and switch to it. And then I'll do an insert here. So I'm just going to do a simple insert. So I'll do db.names.insert. And so that's going to make a collection called names. And in here, I am going to put several. I'm going to put an array in here. And so I'm going to put several things. Let's see. And I'll do, let's see, name, Jeff. And let's see, age, 21. I'll do another one, name, what did I put here? Matt, age, 18. Name, I can do either way, I guess. Lisa, age, let's see, 31. And then close the brackets and close the whole thing. You don't have to do that on different lines, but now you can see right here there have been 3 inserted. There we go. And so now I should be able to do, okay, but now that I've done that, I want to create another user. And this user will have just the permission to read and write from this one database. And so, well, I'll just do this by hand because they're simpler. So I say db.createUser, and I'll say user. In this case, it's going to be my tester. Oops. Should have done a, see if that works. Let me just cancel. I'll do a db.createUser. User dot my test user, and then password pwd my password, and then roles. And so we'll give them a role here of read write. Let's see. And for the DB that they can read write on, we'll do test database, the one we just made. And we'll create another role. And this one will be read database reporting. And reporting. Save that and close it. Okay, so now that user has been added. So now I have 2 users, an admin user and this user. So now I can say db.getUsers. But now I'm actually in this one database. I only get the users for this database. Even though the super admin user can get to this database, it's not going to list him. So I can go switch over to admin. Not use admin, and run the same thing. I can see there's my admin user, and there's their roles. Okay, so now that all that is set up, if I quit, and now I go in, oh, not enabled. Oh, that's right, because forgot the next thing. Even though I added those users, I have not. That's probably why I could add those tables, because I have not turned it on yet in the configuration file. Sorry. So sudo etc. mongodb.conf. And if you go down here, there should be a security section. There you go. And so you can comment that out, and then you have to do authorization enabled. And let's see. Then you should have to restart the service. So sudo system control restart Mongo. There we go. Okay, so now it's restarted. Now if I log in there, which I can log in at first, so there's nothing that stops me from here. But you can see now I've gotten past all the warnings. The warnings are gone now. Hooray. But now if I go to use admin, it'll switch over there. But if I do show collections, I get this error because I don't have any permission. And there's 2 ways to go around that. There's 2 ways to log in. So now that I'm actually in, I can authorize myself. So I can do a db auth, and I can say my admin. I can log in as my admin. It says that my admin username and his password, which is my password. Authentication failed. Why did you fail? And we copy and paste it. I do, 2 S's. Oh, that's the other thing is this won't be remembered in the history, which makes sense to me. So I gotta type it all again. My admin, my password. Okay, there we go. So now we're in. So now I should be able to show collections. There we go. db dot db.getUsers. Users. There's the users just fine. I can go use test database. Switch over. Okay, and I can do anything here. DB will get the name of it. I can say db.names.find, which will show everything in there. How did I do name? Oh, I should have done names. Oh well. My bad. Okay, so let's see. Now I've got all that going. Okay, so now I have permission. So as the super user, basically, I can come in here and I can edit things because he has all permissions. So I can do names dot, in my case, name dot update, and so I can go update name Lisa. So I can go find the one with the name of Lisa, or actually all of them have the name of Lisa if there's more than one, and name. And this simple update, if I do it this way, I have to enter everything in. So if I want to change her age, I have to enter everything in. And so I'll change her to 25. And I can see there's matched and modified one, and so I can see she's 25. So I have all those permissions as a super user. Let's see. You can do simpler things. You can do db.names.update. So I can do that same thing. And find a name. Find everything with the name of Matt. I'm not going to do too much more of these. It's just kind of interesting to start. And I can use this $set. And so that says set everything, keep everything the same, but set this one thing different. And so we'll do age 72. Did I not do that one right? Oh, names. I kept doing names. Should be name in my case because I messed that up. There we go. And there we go. Now he's 72. Okay, so now that I'm here, I can change myself to the tester I made. So I can say auth my tester and my password. Okay, and so this one should have access. This one I should be able to see everything in here, so I can see that. I should be able to insert things, so I go back to where I did that and change it to 22 or 28, and I see it just fine. But if I go to admin and do a db.getUsers, that should not work because db. Oh, well, I guess that does work. Who am I? Well, maybe I can see that. Well, anyway, some more stuff to learn about MongoDB as I do this. Okay, but anyway, that's why you can switch your users. Let me quit out of this. Another way to do this is I could have just logged in as that user to begin with. So I could do -u, my tester, -p, and you can put your password. I don't like doing that on the command line, but you can. And test database. So that'll log me right into that database. And let's see. DB, and so I'm in the test database. And so, do I have any history? No. db.find, db.names, name. There we go. So there I am. Okay. But let me quit. You don't have to put your username, your password in on the command line, which I would recommend not doing. In that case, just do a -p. But the weird thing is, if I do it like this, if I recall, this is not going to work. Login fails. And because the way that works, it wants it to be at the end. If you're not going to actually put a password in. Just the way it works. So now it asks me for my password. So that's the proper way to do it. And now that I'm in here, I can change my authorization and change to someone else. Okay, so that's it for installing and setting up a little bit of MongoDB. It's not a very complex setup. I don't have backups or sharding or anything special like that. And I've just actually started MongoDB myself. But that did get me past all the warnings. So now it's running on XFS. Right. So tf-ht. So it's running on XFS. We've moved the database. We've enabled a couple of users. We've made a database. We've put a few things in there. And we set the kernel to a little more proper setting to run more efficiently, I guess. Anyway, so that's it. So there's MongoDB 3.4.5 installed, right? Let me do that. There we go. Mongo 3.4.6 installed. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please give it a like. To subscribe, just click the subscribe button. Also, you can follow me on Twitter under the handle @whiteboardcoder.com. View any code I may have thrown up as a gist at GitHub under the username PatmanDenver, or check out my blog site at whiteboardcoder.com.